In Late Shift, an interactive FMV crime thriller adventure, you follow Matt, a student who works at night in a parking garage looking after fancy cars. Through a series of events, Matt ends up going through one long night shift as an unwitting participant in a heist. The goal is a precious antique that belongs to a powerful Chinese family who will do anything to get it back, and trust between Matt and his newfound comrades is fragile. When everything goes to hell, your choices will determine whether Matt even makes it to the morning. Late Shift begins with an impressive looking opening credits sequence that could have been lifted from any action or thriller movie, complete with aerial shots of London, close following of our main character, and a soundtrack that builds and sets the scene for the whole experience. It looks great and does what it aims to do, although the accompanying narration of Matt musing on human nature and choices feels a little bit on the nose. Late Shift aims to blur the boundaries between video game and interactive fiction. There isn't a lot here gameplay-wise other than picking out choices. Unlike other FMV games that try to blend in other challenges like Her Story, which forced you to hunt and piece together the narrative through the search mechanic, and the sadly cancelled Missing, which combine quick-time events and point-and-click puzzle solving with FMV sequences, or maybe even like Roundabout, which was just plain crazy, Late Shift is purely about watching events unfold according to the choices that you make. As long as you settle in with some popcorn and don't expect to have to do too much, it will be an interesting experience. The story takes centre stage and it's a fun one to watch. Your choices do matter in this game. You can miss whole side quests if you don't take certain options, and there are around 7 different endings. You have to stay fully engaged through the duration of Late Shift, as choices may come quickly and each one has a limited amount of time for you to react before you're forced into a default option that you likely won't want. But you are actually sitting down and watching a movie, occasionally poking a screen, and there's no chapter select, no options to skip scenes that you've already seen, so personally, although I got a bad ending on the first playthrough, I'm not exactly in a rush to play it all again. The production values are high, everything looks slick and polished, and some of the locations are very impressive, and most of all the experience is seamless with no QuickTime events and with everything rolling along perfectly, seamlessly stitched so that you can't see where your choices are necessarily pushing you down another branch. The whole package feels like a choose-your-own-movie adventure, and that's not necessarily a criticism, because here it's very well done. What has been produced looks great and is entertaining, a good way to pass an hour or so. The points that I will pick at though are that the experience feels like a novelty, an experiment with good monetary backing rather than anything particularly impactful. Parts of the story are cliched, which would be fine if the game didn't seem to take itself way too seriously at some points. Same with some shonky characterization. I facepalmed at the first sight of Matt's algorithmic game theory textbook and tuned out every time he spouted something about probabilities, which was frequently. There are also problems with the audio being mixed poorly, which means that the music, as good as it is far too loud in places. You can barely hear the dramatic voiceover, and this is particularly apparent during the intro, which it might be off-putting for a couple of people, but stick with it, promise. However, Late Shift is an absorbing and fun diversion, and its current price of $9.99, it has a bit more value than a single London cinema ticket.